Hey, 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 and welcome back to the Awakening Spaces podcast. Today, I had the privilege and honor of speaking with my dear friend, Karen Bloom. Karen is a consumer protection attorney and the owner of Natural Haven, a healthy home consulting practice creating homes that support families' health. She provides people with non-toxic product recommendations, mold guidance, and healthy building and renovation consultations. Karen has had such an interesting journey from her consumer protection law days to having her own health issues that led her into this space. And in this episode, we talk all about what it was like being in consumer protection and going into litigation with companies like DuPont and the tobacco industry, and how her journey of healing led her into the work that she is doing today. This was a really interesting episode where we really get into the deepest, darkest depths of healing, as well as Karen providing some really practical guidance in terms of greenwashing and cleanwashing and what's in our products today. So if you are somebody who wants to make your home healthier, and maybe you're somebody who's struggling with your own health, you are not going to want to miss this episode. So without further ado, let's dive in. Well, welcome to the podcast, Karen. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. I'm a big fan of your podcast, as you know, so I'm very excited.
I'm really, really excited to chat with you today because you have such a fascinating journey and you have such an interesting knowledge base. And yeah, I'm so excited to interview you. So you actually started as a consumer protection attorney litigating against companies like DuPont and the tobacco industry. You've also had your own personal health crisis with CIRS and Lyme and mold toxicity. And now you're helping families detox their homes. So I would love to just start at the beginning. What happened to your health and how did you get here?
Well, the beginning is I was a consumer protection attorney in DC. I was doing class action litigations against billion-dollar corporations and doing attorney life, working evenings, weekends. If I even ate lunch, I was doing it at my desk, like not taking care of myself, having no work-life balance. I also had a traumatic childhood and was bringing all that into this corporate world. Well, I was trying to change the work-life imbalance and started hiking, started to try and take care of myself. But pretty early into this experiment, I went backpacking and I was in Shenandoah and I broke my ankle. And you break your ankle, you do the physical therapy, you heal, you move on. That did not happen. My bone healed and I had so much pain in my foot, burning, aching, stabbing. It was unreal. And I went to doctor after doctor, no answers. I was told a lot of time, oh, pains in your head. We don't know what this is, so it must be nothing. A year later, had a freak accident and a dishwasher fell on the other foot and I broke
Oh
that
my
one.
gosh.
And slowly but surely, the pain just spread throughout my body. And I used to joke that one thing that didn't hurt was my tongue. I just was not sleeping, had brain fog. It just made no sense and was very mysterious. So I got to a pain specialist who had diagnosed me with something called complex regional pain syndrome. Then and went on all the pharmaceuticals and didn't get healed. And often they made me worse. One time was driving and I could only drive like 10 minutes max. I was just in too much pain, but I was driving and I was a couple blocks away from my house and I didn't know how to get home. And I was just on so much medication and so much brain fog. So I went off the pharmaceuticals, was like, well, this is not helping. So my sister was like, check it out. Well, I started looking into Lyme. So back when I was in Shenandoah, I hopped out of the trail for like a mile until I could get to the EMTs, but I had rested against the side of the mountain and I got poison ivy. And they cast it on the leg that I broke and they put a cast on and there was this strange rash that I had not recognized. When they took the cast off, when I came back to the town, like I got rebooted and I saw this strange rash and I even took a picture of it and then I never thought of it again. I had a bullseye rash.
Oh my gosh.
And this was years later.
Wow.
So going to specialists and infectious disease doctors and they're testing for Lyme and it's problematic to begin with. Then you test and you're so far out from having the initial infection that everything came up negative or inconclusive. I did find a doctor who put me on a bunch of antibiotics. Nothing. I was still pretty sick. I had to stop working like way back. in the
Oh,
story.
wow.
I could barely take care of myself. I had no energy. I was still sick. And for a number of years, I had like a smoker's cough, and I had never smoked in my life. With the cough and all, I finally did test, found there was mold in my HVAC. All of this journey, has so many layers and nuances to it, but it's the puzzle, and you
Mm,
have to unwrap all the layers. I was a dog with a bone, and for every 20 different things that I tried, one of them moved the needle. And I was lucky enough to have the resources to try those 20 things, and also even just my research skills as an attorney, but I was not able to think. So I was doing all of this while very sick and advocating for myself and researching for myself and just thinking like, how do people do this when they don't have the skills or the
yeah.
resources? But once I got the mold diagnosis and I started working with a shoemaker, a functional medicine doctor, and did all the detoxing and binders and all of that. And I had SIBO at that time. I had mast cell. I had multiple chemical sensitivity, had all the acronyms, the
Yeah.
boatloads, all of it. And one of the huge things was calming down my nervous system. And in my 30s, when I was sick, I felt like I was 80. I
Mm,
just had like no energy, was using a cane if on the days that I could even
wow.
use. And if I stubbed my toe, which happened often because I was not having very good proprioception and knowing where my feet were, I would have to lay down on the couch for the rest of the day.
Wow.
It was just one little thing, one input in my system would overload the rest of my body and it would shut down. So I had no life. And, at some point was just like, this is it,
Yeah.
this it for the rest of my life.
It's so helpful to hear your journey because it's so important to why you do the work that you do today. And do you want to share a little bit about at what point did you actually go from being sick to start to heal to being like, I want to change the system? Like, I want to start doing things differently, and share a little bit about what it is that you do now to kind of share that with listeners, how this all came full circle for you.
When I was sick and I was using these products that I had used growing up, Whisk or something like that, all of a sudden I couldn't use Whisk because I would just get such an allergic reaction because of the multiple chemical sensitivity and just the overload of my system. So every time I would have to then find a new product, it was such a rabbit hole and hard to find. And I was sick and I was like, I just want someone to do this for me. And I did have knowledge to tell people what I was doing was the consumer protection work. I was going up against companies for deceiving consumers about what was in their products and the negative health effects that the products had that they're bringing in their home. Unbeknownst to them, they're impacting their air quality, they're exposing themselves, and these can have negative impact on your health. I didn't know how far this went. I didn't know
Yeah.
at the time fragrances and hormone disruptors and what is in practically everything. And anything I ever bought, I researched. On principle initially was what I was doing all of this for. And the work, I had a baby and was looking for the baby things, speaking of, and he would think all of these are safe and they're on a shelf at the store and you can just pick it up and you can have it around your baby, no problem. We just don't have the regulatory system in place. We don't have the aggressive chemical monitoring or system that like the EU has where you have to prove it's safe before using it. Things on the shelf are typically not what I would choose and bring into my house.
Hmm.
I started my business, Natural Haven, where I help people find the products because I wanted to help the people who were stuck back where I was in a compromised situation or sick or trying to just do the best for their baby or whatever and don't have the time to devote to figure out, is this clean, quote unquote? Is this being greenwashed? So I really just wanted to hand it to people on a silver platter, take the guesswork out of it. So I formed Natural Haven. I do a home assessment and I go through your home virtually or in person and say, okay, here's what I would change. Here's what you're exposing yourself to. And I go room by room. I try not to make it overwhelming. Like, here's my vetted, unbiased swap, a list I hand it to you of like, here's
Mhm.
what to buy instead. I also get a lot of mold clients and people who have mysterious illnesses to really take a look at what is in their environment, what is affecting them.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's just the oddest thing that most people aren't thinking about, but I've had experience. So,
Yeah.
I help unravel the mystery sometimes, or just get them to the right practitioners or resources to help them do the testing and do the protocols that they need to do.
Yeah, it's so interesting. For me too, it sort of started as like, okay, how can we just like make your home healthier? What's in your home? What products are you using? What furniture do you have? Like I started assessing essentially homes and just seeing like what was healthy, was not. But I think there's like this natural progression and evolution when you start to do this work, as I notice you're kind of going through this as well, where it's like, okay, but there's another layer. It's like all the things that we're putting on our body every single day is like the first layer because we're so close to that. And it's things that are on our body, on our skin. But then there's like the deeper layer. And it's like, okay, well, how do we navigate this mold piece? And then once you get to the mold piece, it's like, well, how do we navigate building it all back the right way? And having a resource like you who can help people because, like you said earlier, you just didn't know how deep it went. You just don't know what you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
And then you're like, holy crap. And then it just like keeps unraveling more and more and more. So,
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know. And speaking to people who have been there can tell you what the universe is to some extent. And, stop wasting so much of your time and resources on, there's so many people out there who are selling a bunch of snake oil and preying on people who are in these situations and don't know what to do and are desperate and will do anything to get better.
mhm,
And it's the truth. And so how do you know what to trust? So there are the people who really are in this for the right reasons, you and a lot of people that we work with. And so just finding those people is not easy and
mhm,
it's scary. And one of the things people ask me like, oh, does acupuncture help? And I really believe in the woo woo, the
mhm,
energetic modalities. A lot of times it was the practitioner that made the difference. I would go to one acupuncturist and it wouldn't work at all, or I'd even feel worse. And I
mhm.
went to another who was really fundamental across the board, especially when I had clients tell me, oh, I tried acupuncture. I tried these things. Like, you have to find the person who all your friends are recommending and say, oh my God, you have to go to this person.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. And again, you have to find that person.
Yeah. And there's a resonance. I actually did an episode with Ryan Ashley and we talked about this on here because he's an EMF consultant, but we talked about like the person that you work with, you have to have a special resonance with. You kind of have to like attune to their nervous system. And if it's not aligned, it might not work for you. Even outside of that, I feel like it can be hard making a recommendation for anyone. I get very cautious now about making recommendations of, oh, work with this person or I love this person because
Yeah.
you might have such a good experience. And then they don't. And then it's like, was it an off day? Like what happened? You have to, as the consumer, take every recommendation with a grain of salt, listen to your own intuition of, does this person feel right for me, for my project? I like to say I'm providing you with leads.
Yeah.
Uh, because
I would also like give a couple of different leads so that,
yes, here's a few people. Who do you feel most comfortable
yeah.
with? And I'll provide my insight. But
Yeah.
I just think it's so interesting and so cool. Like, what a wild turn of events, though, that you were actually in consumer protection and working for these companies. Can you just describe what it was like being in a courtroom, fighting these big companies? Like, what are some things you learned or felt or dealt with?
One, cynicism is really big part of what I do. I'm skeptical. I do believe that there's profits over people is
Mm,
what's at play all the time. And what I don't understand is it's people working at all these companies. Their kids are using this shampoo, putting on this clothes that's made out of petrochemicals. Like, I don't understand, but I also think there's like a cognitive dissonance. I think there is denial. I think we've gotten so far. It's so bizarre to me. What was clicking finally, like I couldn't wear makeup makeup anymore, right? And I was working in a corporate environment and wore makeup, a suit when I was in court, and then I couldn't do these things anymore. And then I started thinking about, well, why are we doing these things?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is what society does. This is what we are trained to do and how to look and aspire to. And now I'm sitting here thinking like, I'm having a reaction to putting this blush or whatever on my face. Well, what's in it? Maybe I am, as we often say in this industry, the canary in the coal mine, but that only means that we're putting on some chemical on our face. Why? It's
Mm-hmm.
not worth it. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't understand. That's the huge disconnect for me, but I know that it's marketing and we've all fallen for it. And we've just disconnected between asking the why. Do I want this for me? Or am I doing this because this is what I'm supposed to do and that's what everybody else is doing? And also they told me to, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really cool on TV. I watch commercials every now and then. I don't watch much TV, but God, am I holding myself back from yelling at the TV?
Yeah.
All the laundry detergent and she's in the aisle and all of a sudden she's in a forest and it's like, ah,
Yeah.
yeah, is that worth having infertility and cancer or the
Right.
hormone disruptors so that your living room can smell like a forest? Why is your
Yeah.
living room
Yeah.
smelling like a
Sit
forest?
in the real forest,
And by the way, it doesn't smell like that. I once saw
by
like
the
a
way.
60 Minutes episode many years ago where they went into a lab for one of the companies and all the chemicals that they were mimicking the strawberry flavor and the tropical passion fruit flavor and all the smells and all the tubes because it's cheaper that way than using the real thing. And nowadays, even if I like a product, within 6 months, oftentimes they've been sold, reformulated, and now they're using the cheaper version of the cheaper ingredients. So it's just all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm a cynic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to be. And it's good on you for taking on that role so that other people don't have to. And it's like something that you're naturally inclined and good at because it was like what you trained to do as an attorney. So you're very
Really
well suited.
interesting asking the questions. I don't take anything at face value. Like when I'm looking at a product and it says eco-friendly or, oh yeah, don't get me started on it. Well, I will.
Let's
That
talk
was
about that. Let's
there.
talk about that actually. Can we just dive into that? Because
Yeah.
it's something I want to talk to you. Like, green does not mean healthy. We know greenwashing is happening. I would say most people here probably understand greenwashing, but for somebody who might not, can you just go through what is greenwashing and how are you seeing that play a part in products that we're using today?
I want to separate greenwashing and cleanwashing because companies are onto us and they know that we're looking for more sustainable products, eco-friendly products that are going to be recycled or just better for the environment. They're marketing things as sustainable and green, like recycled polyester fabrics. I'm seeing that everywhere. That does not mean that it's good for your health. It's still applied.
Recycled.
And it's recycled. So, unless there's a testing done, you don't actually know what is in that plastic, what is in that clothing. So, in general, just talking about green and for you and me, like green homes, and you can talk all day about LEDs.
Spray foam.
Yeah.
Energy
And
efficiency.
a turf grass.
Mm-hmm.
And microplastics, and they have forever chemicals often in turf. I have extreme sensitivity to EMFs after mold and Lyme, so many of your listeners might have the same thing, and you probably are sensitive as well. And getting into an electric vehicle, which I did without thinking a couple months ago, I felt so sick. I had to get out of there, but it's green.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my whole house is hardwired and, I'm very sensitive. But a lot of these energy efficient measures that are based on like Wi-Fi around your house to have your dishwasher be more efficient, you can schedule it through your phone or your washing machine. But all these signals and EMFs are impacting our health. So greenwashing is that green not being the same as healthy, and also greenwashing is a little separate because greenwashing is when they're trying to make you think that it's better for the environment when it's not, and also sometimes sweeping it in that it's better for your health. Cleanwashing is words like non-toxic, natural, healthy. Maybe you can think of a few.
Yeah.
Where again, we are looking for the products. People are like, oh, well, I want to get the best for my kid, or I want to invest in my health, and like, I'll go for that cleaner product. And so many of my clients, I feel awful because they're like, I did it. Really did switch to all my products. And then when I look at the products, they're not. They're slightly better in some of them, but a lot of times they fell for the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And what is a consumer to do, right?
Yeah. So what is a consumer to do?
Going beyond the packaging, the marketing, and looking for verification, looking at the ingredients. I look them all up. I go to like Reach database, which is like an EU database. It's very trustworthy about chemicals and their side effects. I email the company and I say, hey, this says coated, but not with what? Are there flavor chemicals? Can you give me more detail? Or what is making this waterproof? What is making this stain resistant? But also, how in the world is it non-toxic at the same time? Things don't make sense because they're making claims of making your life easier, but also non-toxic. That is a very good red flag. And in general, stain resistant, water resistant, the wrinkle resistant right away. Stay away from things like that. So really, it's asking the questions and not trusting and spending the time to doing the research or calling me and having the research done for you. For apps and things like that, I know a lot of people are using that. I get that question a lot. Not speaking directly about any one of them, but there are problems with all of them. They're not precise and inaccurate and inconsistent. And so I don't trust the apps for the most part.
Yeah. And a lot of them are like being fed from AI. So it's like they're not super accurate. And then they have ingredients where they'll say something is clean and then you'll look at it and you'll be like, okay, well, it has like phenoxyethanol in it or like something that I wouldn't want in my product. And you're like, okay, so what does clean mean to you? What does clean mean to this app?
Right.
So it's really hard being a consumer out there.
Yeah.
Trying to weed through this. I mean, I'd say a decent amount of experience. I don't get into the weeds of this as much as you do probably on some of these products like personal care or like cleaning, because like now I just know my things I use, whatever. But if I'm looking for something new, you have to take a full deep dive. You have to look at the ingredients. And I always think of my husband too, because he always falls for the greenwashing and the clean washing. I mean, he's getting better. Sorry, Brandon. Sometimes he'll bring something home and he just like wants it to be good because he's like, but it's clean, And then you're like, but look at the ingredients.
Oh,
I know.
also the confusing thing is a lot of times with some brands, I love that product. And the very next product that brand makes right next to it is not okay.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's really important to keep in mind. Just because one product from a brand is clean doesn't mean all of their products are clean. You really have to look and decipher which is going to work for you. I've also had clients and also very sensitive friends who are like, well, I know Dawn isn't the best surfactant agent, but if I go with the free and clear, like I don't react to it. So I think a lot of it is individual.
Not only that, it's individual. You have to live your life. It is crazy making, and I live by an 80-20 philosophy. I do the best I can and then let go. And I tell my clients the same thing because it's the mental aspect of the anxiety is going to outweigh the good that living cleanly and off the grid practically will get you. So you're doing the best you can. And then also it does add up. So changes that you make will impact your health and support it.
Yeah. So you work with a lot of clients who are trying to optimize fertility or expecting mothers who are trying to create nurseries. You have such an amazing nursery guide, which we'll link in the show notes for anyone who's listening here. Can you share a couple of things that are in people's homes that are the most urgent for getting rid of their specific fertility? But then I also want to talk about the nursery aspect too. Like, what are the top offenders in a nursery?
In general, for fertility is going to be the endocrine disruptors, so plastic, and then the phthalate and parabens, and also forever chemicals, the PFAS. So the personal care products and shampoo and conditioner, the things that you're using every day that are going on your body, your largest organ, your skin, that is going to get into your bloodstream. With endocrine disruptors, there's an outsized effect because your hormones work on like parts per trillion basis or something like that, that a drop of the hormone disruptor is in a swimming pool size will have an effect on your body. A little bit goes a long way. Yeah, I'd say what you're cooking and eating on too, especially what hot food is going on. And if you're having plastic Tupperware and storing it and everything, all that is leaching into your food. What you're cooking on, like the PFAS and the forever chemicals in your nonstick pans, that is having an effect. Number one, getting rid of fragrance. That is, again, hormone disrupting. So the air fresheners, candles, detergents, anything with a fragrance.
Essential oils?
Those are actually tricky. And for most people, it's okay if it's true essential oils. There's a lot of the synthetic essential oils, but there are essential oils that interfere with hormones. So I have a fertility course, and in that I go through what specific essential oils to avoid also.
I'll link your fertility course too. You'll have to share that with me. I was reading recently something on lavender for men, and that lavender can impact men's hormones, maybe testosterone. I can't remember. It was a while ago, but I was like, oh man, like essential oils can have their own issues as well. But I do like the occasional essential oil myself personally. And I feel okay when I use it or use them as long as they're like good, clean ones. But I was thinking like, oh wow, I've created like a spray that had lavender in it. And I thought, maybe I shouldn't be spraying that around my husband. Have you ever looked into that at all? The lavender?
Lavender might be one of them. The list is not coming to my mind right now, but yeah, for impacting like fertility. So
Yeah.
to the extent that I would equate it with the rest of the mimicking hormone
Mhm.
disruptors. But if you're trying to get pregnant, depends on how strict and how much you want to do. And certainly there are levels and it can get overwhelming and things like that. Do you want to go that far? Also, I have a room spray recipe that I use. I use like extracts instead of essential oils, vanilla extract, and you have to make it more often because I don't have preservatives in it. What's like the biggest thing in a
Oh,
nursery?
yeah, nurseries.
Putting a camera right next to the
Mm,
baby's crib. I see it all the
yeah.
time. Please don't do it. Those Wi-Fi signals in the baby and
Mhm.
the baby monitor are impacting your
Yeah.
child's development. Yeah.
Even the Wi-Fi free ones, guys, they're using Bluetooth. It's still radio frequency radiation, unless it's totally hardwired in. Actually, I just got one from Tech Wellness. Waiting for our IT guy to come hook it up because I just can't be bothered. It tells you how to do it, but it's hardwired in with Ethernet cable and has the monitor, and then it attaches to your phone and your computer, which can also be hardwired in. But that is like the only one, like if unless you're jerry rigging a monitor like that, or you are buying one, the only one I know of is from Tech Wellness. Even if it says Wi-Fi free, it does not mean zero EMF.
I had an audio one for my daughter. It was Beb Care, if you're familiar with that one.
Mhm.
So that was free of EMFs, but there's a lot of modern conveniences that are getting us into a lot of trouble.
Mhm. Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, our babies' skulls are not fully formed. They're getting extra doses of that radiation straight directly to their brain as well. So, not to scare any mamas out there who are using a baby monitor, because I get it. I totally understand. I feel like
just put
being
it
in this,
across the room at the very
yeah,
least. Yeah.
distance is your friend. But man, it is a really delicate dance and like a hard thing to share going through this process and seeing other moms who are doing that. And like everyone has their reasons for doing it. So I never want to make anyone feel bad about it. But yeah, if you can move it further away, the better. There's just such a debate. It's not as easy to be like, oh, just don't use a baby monitor because everyone's comfort level is totally different. So, what other things in the nursery? I know there's more.
Oh, I would say rugs. Carpet is terrible, especially if you're putting together a new nursery, paint and carpeting or whatever flooring you're having. So paint, obviously, with the VOCs and off-gassing, and carpet, same thing, is off-gassing, and that they're going to be crawling on it. They're right up there, not wearing your shoes in the house and getting it on the carpet, what you're tracking in. The furniture, if it's solid wood versus manufactured wood, a lot of what we do is about the off-gassing, the air quality. The EPA estimates like indoor air quality is 2 to 3 times worse, like more inorganic pollutants than outside. And it's what we're bringing into our homes that
Mhm.
is causing our indoor air quality to be polluted. We have control over this. So when you're choosing a crib or a dresser, if it's made out of MDF or particle board, those adhesives are off-gassing into the baby's environment.
Mhm.
Now, a lot of people think, well, then that means that I have to buy an expensive crib or dresser. All of the things that I'm recommending, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, healthy living is so expensive. And I like to bring out this example because it is not true necessarily. A lot of times, yes, but not all the time. And you just have to do a lot of work. But I got a crib from IKEA that was solid wood and $80 at the time. And my daughter never slept in, but that's another story. But it's an example of like, I didn't go buy a $300, $400 crib, which that they're selling at that price are also, not well made anyway.
Yeah, it is getting better. Like, there's a lot more companies who are trying to be more conscious of this. What would you say is some clean washing you're seeing? Are there any modern companies that you're like, oh yeah, they're saying this for baby furniture or nursery furniture that you want to go deeper than that?
The certifications, some of them are helpful. Some of them are just a very low threshold, but not the bar that I would use. Some companies are using FSC. That's great. It means that lumber was sustainably harvested, but it has nothing to do with whether or not there are adhesives in that piece of furniture that are off-gassing. So I would say the use of certifications right now as a shorthand for consumers be like, oh, well, this is okay. So many of my clients have purchased because of these certifications, get their furniture, whatever it was, their blankets or mattresses, anything, and are sick, can't use it, have to sell it to somebody else, return it, whatever it is. So certifications are problematic.
Yeah, they can be hard. They can trick you. Again, it's like you see a certification, you're like, oh, this is clean. This is good to go. And then if you don't really understand what the certification is or what it's testing for, it could lead you down a path that you don't necessarily want to go. And they can be really confusing. For somebody new to all of this can be extremely overwhelming. I know it was for me. And then as it unraveled even more deeper than the personal care products and the cleaning products and the home goods to what's in the walls and like how we build our homes and EMFs, all these things, it can be so overwhelming. So I'm curious, like, especially having gone through it yourself, how you handle and balance like the nervous system piece with your clients. How do you provide this information, but also like balance helping people relax into their nervous system at the same exact time? Because it can be really hard.
Yeah. Let me tell you like a little bit more about my background and how this was such an important piece for me. As I mentioned, like I had a traumatic background and I wasn't taking care of myself. And I just lived my life walking on eggshells and not living my life. I was living what I thought I was supposed to be living. When I broke the ankle in Shenandoah, that was my body saying, I'm done. This path is awful. We're doing something else. It completely broke down on me. It couldn't take in anymore and hold it.
Mm-hmm.
It is so wise. It really led me to myself, living for me and finding myself. I talk about woo-woo and how all of this sounds, but I was in so much pain and very disconnected to my body most of my life. So this was like just screaming at me, you have to pay attention. And, what we take it for granted until you lose it in your health is just so important. On top of going to doctors who were like, oh, this is in your head. People telling me, like in my own family, just push through. You're fine.
Yep.
You look fine. And then you're down at yourself, right? Well, am I imagining? Am I being lazy? I wasn't working. I worked 5 jobs in college, went to law school at the age of 20, but here I was just like laying on the couch all day. And I'm like, am I just lazy? Because all those voices were in my head, but I'm also unable to get off this couch. And then you get what a lot of people get is depressed.
Yeah.
Body's not working for you. Your friends are living their lives. I was alone in my journey. I didn't have a partner or anything. I did all of this by myself, which was even harder. So I got really depressed. I had a physical therapist at the time who, one, started educating me about pain. And how your body is, again, like it can take. And then you've talked about this on the show before about like your toxic burden that through your life just compounds. And at some point, your body's unable to function. You're in fight or flight. Your detox pathways are whacked. So she started talking to me about just how everything was an outsized reaction to the stub toe example I gave you. Also started talking to me about hope. which
Mm,
had none of. And that was so important for me.
mm.
I had met some people along the way who had been like, oh, I've been where you are and I got better and here's how I did it. And then like, of course I tried their stuff, right? And none of
Mhm.
it worked for me. And so there was part of me though, that was like, well, that person did it. Like there must
Yeah.
be. And what am I missing? But also just every step forward was 3 steps backwards every
Yeah.
time. So holding on to hope was so big for me and starting to have possibility and reading about the energy aspect of things, processing my emotions,
Mhm.
working on all the trauma in a different way than I had before. I also had read a book called How Your Biography Becomes Your Biology, and that was fascinating to me. And I was like seeing myself in a book and also saw that statistically it was quite inevitable what happened to me. If you have trauma in your background and you're a woman, chances are you're going to have an autoimmune, fibromyalgia,
Mhm.
all these diagnoses that are basically, again, your nervous system is haywire. You need to come back to center and really deal with what was going on. So I started doing that. Another way that I calm down my nervous system is cannabis.
Mm.
Yeah, I started that. And for the first time in years, had moments where I was without pain.
Wow.
And most importantly, I was not sleeping for years, and cannabis helped me sleep at night.
Wow.
And I started doing things like Reiki, cranial sacral therapy, Feldenkrais. Do you know Feldenkrais?
Uh-uh.
That's remarkable. It teaches you how to move in the easiest way possible.
Okay.
And we hold so much tension in our bodies. And right.
So
So
true.
just like powering up through your feet as you're walking and where your support and energy is coming from and going. Basically, just like in the mold space about rewiring your brain because of the mold getting you in the fight or flight. But a lot of times, clients, and I encountered too, that you're already out of whack before you came into contact with the biotoxins. Not necessarily, but then it's compounded. And then also, if you're having like multiple chemical sensitivity or autoimmune reactions, it also often can be because there's trauma and your body is overloaded. And so this
Yeah.
is how it's reacting.
When you're working with clients, is that overlapping into your work with them? Are you sharing some of these modalities with them?
Yeah, especially if my clients who are doing like fertility or have mysterious illnesses and
Yeah.
really, calming down the nervous system is such a huge piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And it's a full-time job.
It
I
really is.
I hate to say that, but to another person who's doing this, the grounding, the hydrating, the being in tune with your body all the time, and now taking the time to eat properly and to get exercise and the sunlight. And now when I do get pain, I go to that place. I'm like, okay, shoulder, what are you trying to tell me?
Mm.
I know how it sounds. I know how it sounds. But my body is so wise. And it's like, oh yeah,
Shows you.
I'm not working on this thing that I should be working on, or that person like kind of triggered me and I just shoved it aside. And now you won't shut up, shoulder. So okay, I guess.
Yeah.
And then acupuncture and the
Mm.
craniosacral and the lymph. That's huge. So yeah, I'm working with my clients and getting them those resources and trying to explain how important or why.
Yeah. So, so, so important. I love all those modalities so much. And what you said makes so much sense to me too. It's funny that you bring that up because I did an episode with Brownell Landrum and she talks about that. It was all about wishing. I loved this episode because it was so different than any episode that I'd ever done on this podcast. But she goes all into wishing. And she says, when you have a problem, just close your eyes and ask, like, if you have a pain in your body, or even if you don't have a pain, or just sit for a second and ask your body, like, what are you trying to tell me? What do I need right now? And it will usually come up. It will usually come up. So I love that that's something that you practice and it does come up for you,
Yeah.
you know?
This whole journey, like it brought me into myself. I
Mhm.
am in tune with my body. It is sensitive. I'm one of, more sensitive people. And I just block it out and like power through anyway, because work has to get done. Life has to
Right.
be lived, right? But then it catches up with you. And it really did catch up with me. And all of this like really led me to where do I want to live?
Hmm.
Who do I want to be? And just figured out what do I want, not because what other people want for me,
Mm.
or what society is expecting of me, or yeah, even what my old goals were. So I really,
Mm-hmm.
really check in with myself all the time. And it's amazing.
I think that a lot of our illness can come from that, just trying to live a life that isn't really our own. I feel like that feels very true, rings very true for me too. There's been a lot of times in my life, whether it's someone I dated that I felt like I should be dating, but maybe wasn't really somebody I wanted to be dating, or a job I had, or just different elements of my life where you're not fully happy. You can't really put your finger on what it is. And then all these other like symptoms and things are coming up for you. And it's your body's way of telling you, we need a change. So it's interesting. I'm really happy that you were able to notice that and actually make a change, because it's not easy for people to make a change, especially if they are with a partner at the time who's like, nope, I don't want to do this. If you're that conflicted with a partner, to actually leave that relationship, and like, those are hard things to do. But I think in the end could be what you need to heal.
That's part of the lesson too, is there's a through line. Shit is going to go sideways. It always does. That's life. And now there's a through line. I'm going to get to the other side. And when I was in it, it felt like it was going to be like that forever. I was stuck. And like you were saying, like, it's hard to make change. You get stuck. The pain makes you stuck. These illnesses make you physically stuck. And then you're mentally stuck as well. So that's so hard to break out of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I loved this. And I feel like we shared a lot of things from your past. But, I always end every episode on the same question of, what is something that you're currently working through as a way to better yourself, to evolve your soul on this journey? Or do you feel like you're still sort of learning some of the lessons from the past? Maybe you're not even through it yet, that you want to leave a little nugget of wisdom for our listeners.
I am always working on not caring what
Oh,
other people think.
God.
And what other people say. Always working on it. And just somebody's comment in a grocery store that has nothing to do with me can set my nervous system on fire and get me riled up and like get me upset. And so, one, it doesn't matter, because they're having a bad day. Like, it's all them. And also choosing fights, which I never did in my past. I now know, like, oh, it's so not worth my energy. It's not worth giving up my zen for,
Mhm.
and just the letting go, the process of that. And I'm getting better and better about it. And as part of boundaries and getting older, you just care less and you, but a lot of times it really is with like checking in and again with yourself and being
Mhm.
grounded and letting it all not affect you. Yeah. It's always probably going to be my journey, but yeah.
I feel that's so hard, especially like going through being pregnant and everyone having an opinion about what I'm planning to do for the birth, or what I want to do here, how I want to handle this or that or whatever. Everyone having an opinion. And it's like, sometimes it just sets my nervous system off. And I heard someone say recently, like, if you wouldn't take advice from somebody, if you wouldn't take advice from that person, then like, who cares what they have to say? And I'm like trying to like anchor into that. If they're not somebody that I would go to for advice, then I don't really care. Even if a little bit subconscious piece does, I'm still trying to anchor into like, but why? Because I wouldn't ask you for advice anyway.
Even just like bringing it back to a conversation like about realizing that like, oh, nobody actually knows what we're supposed to be doing here. What is the right way? We're all just winging it and making it up as we go. And you do the best for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I'm going to tie this back. You're so right. Like, everyone is winging it. Even like the smartest people that I know, the people in the building industry, obviously, is where, my work is very heavily grounded in some of the people I look up to. And I'll ask a question of like, well, what do you think about doing X, Y, and Z here? You must know, you must have the answer. And they're like, no, it's all science. We're just figuring it out as we go. We're just trying things out. And it's like, well, that's not what anyone wants to hear, but like, it's true, you know?
Love that when people can admit that
Yes.
they don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than the people who don't know and
Yes.
can't admit it. And then they're coming from a place of insecurity and attacking you.
Mhm.
That is such a cycle.
Yes. And that's something else I've been saying too. Like, I look for that in people. I almost want to work with the people or recommend the person, going back to, who we're recommending to our clients and
Yeah.
whatnot. I like working with the people who are not afraid to admit that they don't know, and that they're curious though, and they want to figure it out. out. The people who are overly confident are the people who I feel I have run into trouble with, because it's like, well, you're overly confident, but like there's just a delicate dance. You want confidence, but you also want somebody who's humbled, who can admit that no one knows everything. There's no such thing as perfection.
And we can't be experts in all things.
No.
And that is like, I don't know every product. I don't know every chemical. I look it up. I'm going to research the heck out of it and get to that answer. Like, I know that I'm good at that.
Yeah.
Not that I know everything. So that exactly. That's
Exactly.
people who know that they don't know, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh. I feel like I've been saying that on every episode lately. There's just certain things that just keep coming up. And it's just so important to realize that. And anyone who's listening, it all comes down to, like, again, you getting in touch with your own intuition and making decisions based on that, while using the guidance from this podcast or people like Karen or, me or whoever you are looking up to or listening to or looking to for guidance or support. Use all that as leads. But in the end, it's like really comes down to like your own intuition and leaning into that. Well, Karen, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. Can you share with everybody, where can people find you? How can they work with you? Give us all the deets.
My business is Natural Haven and is www.naturalhavensb.com. So sb.com at the end of that. And then on Instagram at Natural Haven SB, and you'll probably link to all of that. I have a bunch of free guides on my website to sign up for, and all this can be overwhelming. So I have, here are your top 5. Here's what your basic, how to start simple ways to approach these things. Initially, I do one-to-one consultations. I have a course right now for fertility, creating a healthy home to support fertility, coming out with a couple more too. I work with mold and healthy home renovations with Ashley. Really happy to help anybody figure out how to navigate this.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes. And I will,
Having me on.
you're so welcome. I will link all of this in the show notes.
Okay.
Until next time, Karen, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Awakening Spaces podcast. If you're ready to take what you've learned and start applying it to your own home, then there's a few ways that we can support you. On our website, you can find a collection of free and paid guides and courses that will walk you through everything from designing a healthy home to choosing safe materials and reducing mold, chemical, and EMF exposure. And if you're looking for more personalized guidance, then we also offer one-on-one consulting and design support, where we act as your owner's representative to help you plan, manage, and execute your new build or renovation project with confidence. You can explore all of these offerings on our website at awakeningspaces.com. And if this podcast has helped you in any way, we would be so incredibly grateful if you would like, subscribe, and share this podcast so that it can reach more people. Until next time, thank you so much for listening and being here and stepping into what it means to be an awakened homeowner.